Hi everybody, welcome back. Thank you for watching this video. First of all, if you hear any weird noises, it's the wind. It's very windy today. So in today's story, we are talking about Michael Gargiulo, and this guy has a few names. He's known as the Hollywood Ripper, the Chiller Killer, the Boy Next Door Killer, and most of you probably know him because one of his victims was connected to the Hollywood star Ashton Kutcher. He got caught because one of his victims survived. So without further ado, let's start. Michael Gargiulo, the Hollywood Ripper, was born in 1976 in Glenview, Illinois. People who knew him from his younger years described him as completely different from his family. He was angry, violent, and odd. His family was quite the opposite. They were nice. His parents were afraid of him and hoped to kick him out of the house, but they believed he would come back and kill them. And that's not very nice of him, is it? They eventually moved, leaving Michael behind after the death of a young girl in town. And he also left Chicago because he thought the police was trying to blame him for the girl's death. Michael dated several women, and some of them described him as abusive. And at the time he was arrested, he was married. He trained to be a professional boxer and he trained martial arts. He worked as a bouncer and then he worked as an air conditioning and heating repairman, which allowed him to get closer to his victims. Michael Gargiulo's first known victim is Ashley Ellerin. He met Ashley in Los Angeles outside her home when he offered to help her with a flat tire. He flirted with her and then she gave him her phone number. The following weeks, Michael would show up at Ashley's home unannounced, and he would sometimes park outside Ashley's home like a true stalker. In December 2000, Ashley met Ashton Kutcher. The two started hanging out, and in February 2001, they planned to go to a Grammy party, but that never happened, and here's why. On February 23, 2001, Ashley's roommate arrived home at 9 a.m. and found Ashley's dead body and blood all over the entrance of the bathroom. Ashley's face was blue. There was blood around her mouth. The person who killed her tried to cut her head off. There was blood on the walls, ceiling, and bathroom. She was stabbed 47 times. She had defensive wounds. She was stabbed in the chest, abdomen, in the back, and in the back of the head. It was a vicious and violent death. Ashley Ellerin was only 22 years old. Michael Gargiulo was obsessed with her and he killed her. After killing Ashley, Michael Gargiulo moved to a gated apartment complex in El Monte. 10 days later, he killed again, this time Maria Bruno. On December 1, 2005, Michael entered Maria's apartment through the kitchen window. She was asleep. He took a butcher knife from the kitchen. He slashed Maria's throat. He stabbed her in the chest, arm, and abdomen. Her body was found by her ex-husband in a pool of blood. Her breasts were cut off and one of them was placed in her mouth. While the police investigated the crime scene, they found a blue paper booty from Maria's apartment. It contained Maria's blood and skin cells, but they couldn't get DNA from it. Once again, Michael Gargiulo moved. In 2007, Michael was living with his wife in Santa Monica apartment across an alley from Michelle Murphy. On April 28, 2008, Michael entered through a window. Michelle was asleep. She woke up with Michael on top of her, stabbing her body. Michelle then grabbed a blade. Michael was struggling to get off. Michelle then put her feet under Michael's chest and pushed him off. He ran out of her bedroom towards the front door. Michelle followed him, and before he escaped, he told her, "I'm sorry." And Michelle Murphy survived. While the police was investigating the crime scene, they found a blood trail, and DNA testing matched to the blood of Michael Gargiulo. On June 6, 2008, Michael was arrested for the attack of Michelle Murphy. But then things started to unfold. Like through police work, there were similarities with other cases, and within the investigations, they found out Michael lived in the same apartment complex as Maria Bruno. They searched the apartment he lived. They crawled into an attic and found a plastic baggie with a medical booty that matched the one found at the crime scene of Maria Bruno. This time they were able to get DNA from it, and it matched Michael Gargiulo. Michael was then linked to the murders of Ashley and Maria. On October 20th, 2008, Michael was charged with the murder of Maria Bruno and Ashley Ellerin. While he was in jail, he planned to escape, but he never did. Even though he was arrested in 2008, it took a while for trial to start. In 2019, Michael Gargiulo's trial began, and one witness stood out, Ashton Kutcher. The actor testified to recount what happened when he went to pick up Ashley. On the night Ashley Ellerin died, Ashton arrived a few minutes late to pick her up. He knocked on the door, but she didn't answer. He peeked through the window and saw something that looked like red wine on the floor, and then he left. When he found out Ashley had been murdered, he called the police because his fingerprints were on the door, and the red wine was actually Ashley's blood. Michael Gargiulo was found guilty, and in July 2021 he was sentenced to death. And according to Michael, he was, of course, innocent. Before Michael moved to LA, he lived in Chicago, and he fled Chicago because in 1993 a girl named Tricia Pacaccio was murdered. Tricia and her brother knew Michael and lived a block away from Michael's home. In 1993, Michael Gargiulo gave a ride to Tricia. The next day, Tricia, while she was arriving home at midnight, she was attacked by someone from behind. The attacker twisted her arm behind her back and broke it. He stabbed her several times, including her heart, her lungs, abdomen, the arm, collarbone, and in the back. And the police actually recovered DNA from Tricia's fingernails, but couldn't find a match. After Tricia's murder, Michael went to Tricia's house and tried to confess, but his parents interrupted him. Because of this odd behavior, a few years later, the police tried to get his DNA, and it matched the DNA found under Tricia's fingernails. But they couldn't prove it was Michael because he had given Tricia's a ride home the day before. But on that day, Tricia's body was found. Michael called his girlfriend and the two went on an errand. Michael got out of the car with a small green canvas bag that contained knives, and then he disposed of the bag in the building. Even though he's most likely the killer, he hasn't been convicted of Tricia's murder yet. Does his MO seem a little bit similar to someone that is extremely famous? Jack the Ripper. The violence in the attacks, stabbing all over those women's body. This guy is dangerous. This guy is bad. He's evil. And that's it. Let's just hope Tricia gets her justice too. But one question remains. Are these the only victims of Michael Gargiulo, the Hollywood Ripper?